Folks, hello and welcome to the Random Party. And as you can see, we only generated two characters for tonight, but we got some ideas for that. We got some ideas, and we've thrown out a feeler or two to see if anybody else wants to join in. But Greg is he's a normal regular, but Greg is on a different channel talking about Shadow. Oh God, whatever his latest Kickstarter.
Shadow City.
Shadow City. There we go. So he's talking about Shadow City. Um, uh, Joe is here in spirit, and he will be here uh, in a little bit, but not the way you expect him to be. Um, you know, Matt, less said the better. We love him, but Tim is always a random shot. Paul, but maybe we'll see who else. We'll see what we can bring in. Don, good to see you. So,
Hey, Don.
we thought Rob and I were kind of like brainstorming for the show, and it's going like hotcakes. Joe the Lawyer's latest video talking about questing beast Ben Minton, and I thought it might be fun to kind of do a riff tracks. I riff tracks on Joe's video since he can't be here with us. I figured he's already got like I don't know 1,600 views. I'm sure he's enjoying them all. God bless him. But now Joe's not in the potty this time, Foogly. Well, he might be, but he'll be at the gym. And if that's the case, God help you. All right. It's probably going to be, all hands on. They're gonna have to be calling, the people in the special suits to disinfect it. We don't want that. Yes, the wrong again, Ben. So hey, listen, we got a lively chat group. So um, before we even dive into this, a little background. Okay, I am not a big fan of questing beast, Ben. And the reason why, listen, whatever faults this channel has, whatever faults Joe's channel has, um, we don't take money to promote stuff. And Ben's channel is built on that. Just gonna throw that out there. It's an open secret, or not even a secret, whatever. I tell you this, questing beast points are obviously being made from an outsider looking in, and Joe makes good points that are wrong from the perspective of an insider looking out.
Well, he made a few factual errors too. A few.
Well, we're gonna. By the way, I it's gonna be great because I haven't watched Joe's video yet.
Okay.
All right,
I'm sure
so
you guys know I didn't watch Joe's video. I mean, as you
you
guys
read it.
know, I'm deaf. So most of the time when I see somebody's video come up or hear somebody's video, I pull the transcript and have ChatGPT format it and double check it and like change the damn word. And you got to really be strict with it about that. But then I read it. What's a 15-minute video I can read in 3 minutes, and more importantly, I could understand what their whatever point they're trying to get at. So I've read Joe's video and I read Ben's video as well.
So here, let me pull it up. And before anybody gets bent and says, "Why are you picking on Joe?" We pick on Joe because we love him. Okay, honest to God, uh, Joe is like a brother to me. Known him for well over a decade. And again, I haven't heard it, but and again, I have no love for Ben Milton, whatever. Yes, he's inauthentic when it comes to being a member of the OSR. Those of us in the OSR know that. But here, let's go to. Actually, I should put this on my side screen. So, oh, of course, I pulled over the wrong one. Good going, Eric.
You have room for the transcript? Can you click on show transcript? Will that work out okay?
If I can find out where it says show transcripts. Hold on.
Or you pull down to see where it says more? Click on that. Oh,
Uh,
you passed it up in the dark gray area. There's more.
oh, okay.
And scroll down. Show transcript. There we go.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Everybody, Joe Lowe here from Analog Man Cave. Got a video for you. Don't you just fucking hate grifters? People who just enter a thing and they see an opportunity, no fucking no desire of, nothing. They're not into it. They just say, hey, here, I can make some money off of this shit.
And I'm gonna just say flat out, I know exactly what. Again, I don't like Questing Beast. It doesn't mean he's gonna have wrong ideas. Oh, we got bad Mike. Mike.
Well, I can tell you that if you charge money for reviews, I am not going to be a fan. Your fan.
No, definitely not.
When we're talking about our level, now if you're charging, say, somebody like Wizards of the Coast, like if you can get money out of them, more power to you. But if you're talking about creatives that are making a couple thousand a year at most from their stuff, and you're charging them a couple $100 for a review, that's not cool in my book.
So welcome, Mike. Mike, we are going to do. We're going to do a riff tracks on Joe's video about men Questing Beast.
Yes, I saw the bat signal went up that
Hey,
you were stuck with Rob. No, I'm just kidding.
nah,
Rob. Right now, I love Rob. So
I figured that.
You're stuck with Rob, and you're like, man, I gotta get some talent in here, and so so you called me to come jump in. So no, I'm just messing with you guys. No, I'm happy to pop on and see what's going on in the world, because we had an incredible week of crazy gaming, weird shit going on. So.
Well, I have a few words about that too, but
oh yeah, I can't wait till I want to hear Rob's words.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So Joe's video is about Questing Beast, and again, listen, even if you're WotC, if you're paying, you shouldn't be paying for reviews, paying for coverage, whatever. But that was like when N-World was writing articles, but we're getting paid for advertising. All right, there's when you cross that bridge, you're no longer legitimate. And
does it really help? Because I mean, you could usually tell when there's a look. I don't know. Jenny D will do a paid review. You know it's a paid review because you see her. She's talking about fluorescent color pens or something weird. It doesn't make you want to go out and buy fluorescent color pens. I mean, are we reached a point now where does it really matter? I mean, if we get these paid reviews, because I just kind of file that away as okay, well
well, here's the difference. You got so I would consider the fuzzy line. It is a fuzzy line. On one hand, you have paid reviews. I think that's baloney, because if you're getting paid to review, how do we know what you're saying is honest?
Right.
Well, sure.
A review is about whoever's making the video's judgment. On the other side is sponsorships. Now, sponsorships, I think when I first started seeing sponsorship, yeah, they're annoying, okay, but compared to ads, I think sponsorships are about as good a compromise we can get. It gets more revenue to the channel's creator. It's clearly an ad, it's not them giving their opinion, and oftentimes it's better presented than most ads I've seen on the internet. Usually the channel creator puts their own unique spin on the ad, right, and it's an ad. Okay, so that's where if it's paid reviews, they're bullshit. Sponsorships are fine.
And what? Listen, like the pundit, right? Like when he does a review, if it's a product that's in print, he expects you to send a print copy to wherever he is in Central America, and
South
then
America,
South America,
Uruguay.
Uruguay, sorry. And then if he wants to review it, he'll review it, and you get the review that he's going to give. You have no control over it. But he wants a physical product. Fine, whatever. I watch videos on YouTube on our big TV where they're reviewing products, and they'll tell you, "Hey, the manufacturer sent me this," or "B, I bought this piece of shit with my own money." I find the reviews that are supplied by the reviewer, the product is purchased by them, to be much more authentic and real in what they say and what they cover.
But I will say that if they want you to send the product to review, that's kind of fair. I mean,
I don't blame it, but
Majestic Fantasy Realm, it's going to be expensive for somebody to buy, whether it's in the U.S. or in Uruguay, like the pundit is.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, if somebody bought their own review copy, I feel that review is going to be 100% authentic. I might not agree with it, but it's going to be their real feelings because they invested in it. Just my thoughts. Yeah,
Right.
we'll go back to Joe.
I agree with you, Eric. By the way.
Okay, we'll go back to Joe.
And they fucking charge a shit ton of money for things and make a fortune off of the backs of people who have been doing it forever. I don't know. Anyway, on a completely different topic, let's talk about Ben Milton.
All right. I gotta say, Joe has great timing. I like that. So,
all right, Ben Milton, Questing Beast. He did a video recently. He says, "What is the OSR style of play in D&D?" in this video, and it just pissed me off because he got a lot of things wrong, as he usually does. Because he, is he a gamer? I don't know.
All right, that's a question that we'll ask. I think Ben is a gamer. I think he does game.
Yeah, I think he does gaming. I mean,
do I think he's an old school gamer by heart or currently by choice? I think it's probably currently by choice because that's where the money is for him. But I don't know for sure, so I'm just spitballing.
I mean, I don't fucking know. I honestly don't know. I mean, anybody could call themselves anything these days, right? And maybe he is a gamer just because he calls himself a gamer. I have no fucking idea. But I think he's a good regurgitator of shit. I'll give you that. And puts out some videos and hit the algorithm just right and got lucky, and there we are, right?
Now, I wanted to say, Joe hit the algorithm, and here we are. Because Joe's video has over 1,700 views for something that went up yesterday. 183 likes, 4 dislikes, because, yes, I have the ability to see likes and dislikes on video, so he's doing very well. Somebody's car alarm is going off in my background. But yes, we're doing a live reaction video of Joe doing a lawyer's video. Yes, Mr. Gunn. Shush.
yes, and as far as Ben Milton's video go, I'll just get my overall opinion is that yes, he gets his facts mostly. He gets his facts right. Some of his opinions, so there is room for disagreement there. But he's in the ballpark with people written about the OSR. Particularly, he uses Matt Finch's old school primer and I can't pronounce it. The Principia Archipi. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. Apocrypha, yeah.
Whatever.
So, but my criticism of Ben's video isn't what he says, is that, okay, do you have anything of your own to add to this? And he has. I mean, there's not only he doesn't add anything or advances the conversation, he doesn't tie it into something practical that you can do in your campaign right now. I mean, I made a post that was kind of philosophical. Rulings are foundations, not an oversight. But I tied it in. You know, I made sure when I wrote about that I don't mean to say I stated my philosophy on it, but I tied it in to how I view tabletop role playing campaign uh, are run, so that people can have practical use to various game RPGs that they might play. And I have strong feeling that there's too much theory, not enough practice, and so that's my take on it.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you know, that's kind of my take on this guy. But anyway, he did a video. And I just wanted to get into it because some very important points he makes in there are completely fucking dead ass wrong. All right, so
Now, for a lawyer, I'm going to just say this. I've known a lot of lawyers, and for a lawyer to make their opening statement like that is a pretty big opening statement.
Yeah, definitely he's getting his law degree money out of that one.
Yeah, and you're going to see that he was totally wrong, and he totally did it. Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to briefly summarize Ben's video? It's just the chapter heading.
Sure.
Yeah, so he has an intro. Then he talks about being an impartial arbiter. Then he talks about get the players thinking. Then he talks about how to, when you're building adventures, you want to build rocks in hard places to make things interesting. He wants the rules should be whatever flavor of rules that you use or whatever tweaks, the results should be deadly but survivable. And then you should run the campaign, be the world, make the world come alive, which is a lot like how I advocate sandbox campaign. And then he doesn't have a separate chapter heading, but he kind of, his wrap up is that you can apply these principles to any RPG. Now, yes, technically it can't apply to any RPG because there are a lot of there are a fair amount of RPGs out there that are pretty different. But the RPG that most people play, like GURPS, Fantasy Heroes, Shadow Dark, yeah, these are principles that could apply to the typical RPG. That's the point I think he's trying to make.
So now I'm going to say this, and I hopefully nobody wants to tar and feather me for this. But when you read me those titles, Rob, I felt it was like somebody just asked ChatGPT or Grok, you know, what defines the OSR? What are the principles define the OSR? And it's just going, all right, that's a great video. I mean,
right, and it doesn't advance the conversation. Now, I'm guilty of this at times in foreign conversation. Somebody will say something, and I would say, you know, something to the effect is of, no, RPG is not storytelling. The story comes after when you try to recount what happens during your campaign or session. And a lot of times I would leave it there, and I got to admit, that's lazy of me to do it. I mean, okay, what does that mean? How does that show up? What does it mean that it's not about storytelling? It's about your story comes after. But, you know, so, you know, it's on me to show why that is. And if I don't show it and somebody criticizing me, they got a legit point. And that's what Ben does in his video. That's my main criticism. He talks a lot about this, but he could take these out of chapter headings, out of the old school primer and out of the Principia, and okay, but how does this relate to the campaigns we got to run? How does it relate to next week's session? And even briefly.
all right.
might as well just start off with the freaking video here. Why don't we I'll share it with you here, guys. Let's see. And we can listen to the words of wisdom. That's not this here. That's Joe the lawyer. That's not Joe the lawyer. That's Ben Milton, boys and girls. So
now, by the way, that is the little thing about Restream. If you are embedding something, and whoever's the one that's putting it up, like the YouTube video up on the screen says Tenkar because I'm the one sharing it. Just a little behind the scenes, what's going on there.
So here we go. I'm gonna hit play and we can get into it.
Questing Beast. I am Ben. Today we're going to be talking about the OSR style of play.
Now, and of course, he's calling it the old school Renaissance on screen. We can't even agree what OSR stands for half the time, what the definition is.
Revival, ruckus, resurrection.
Right. You know, it's. I always say the OSR is pretty much like pornography. I know it when I see it, but maybe not.
Does Ben or Question Beast, does he have a? He doesn't sell a setting like Knave or something like that. I mean, he's just a reviewer.
Isn't Knave his?
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I'm trying to remember.
Knave is his RPG, both first.
Okay, Knave. I was trying to remember which one he did. It was Knave is the one he did. Okay.
Yeah, that was his Knave. Yes, he had definitely. As far as saying what an OSR RPG looks like for him, he definitely did the walk. He did the writing. He put it out not once but twice.
All right. Back to the
What
video.
is it, and how can you apply it to your own D&D games? Or really,
well, and yes, I think personally, for me, I think the OSR falls better in games that are rooted in older systems. I don't know if OSR play will work with Fate or powered by the Apocalypse. I don't think this.
Well, it would come off like Torchbearer. Yes,
yeah,
it's a campaign about dungeon crawling, but it's like when I do OSR with GURPS. When you sit down at a table playing it, it's not going to feel the same. It's not going to. The feel that you get overall, even though you're doing things for the same reason, and at the end of the day, it's going to result in similar outcomes. How you get there is a completely different road than how it is with BXD&D. Like with GURPS, when you get into combat, well, there goes the rest of your session. It's going to take an hour to resolve. That's just the fact. Now, your combat is going to be a lot more detailed. You're going to have a lot of options, not in the D&D 4E cool power sense, but tactics. You really got So if you want to do a shield bash, GURPS got a rule. If you want to do an arm lock and then punch the guy in the face, you could do that with GURPS. But you pay for that. You pay for an hour for a combat that could dominate your session.
all right.
to any type of role-playing game.
Again, I disagree with that statement. So does Rob.
Now, I do talk a lot about the OSR.
Wrong. That's the problem right there. That's the heart of my argument. You can't apply the OSR to any role-playing game. All right, that's what we're going to get into here. This is what pissed me off right at the outset with this fucking guy's video. All right, so that's what we're going to get into here, just as a preface to what's going on. All right, here we go.
Channel mostly because I review a lot of OSR books.
Now we're gonna stop for a second, take a time out. Ben talks about the fact that he reviews a lot of OSR books. Again, I just know from some publishers that I've spoken to who have heard Ben's rates to do reviews of said publisher's work. It's a good gig if you can get it. I just don't know how authentic you are if that's how you see the OSR.
I guess the proof of the pudding would be, has he ever ripped a book he got paid to do a review of? Because certainly he hasn't just read great books over and over and over again. Certainly he's read something that, I mean, did somebody send him Giant Lands?
That would have been fucking hilarious.
In the clouds, my friend. In the clouds.
Then that's not very authentic. Then I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that if he gave Giant Lands a good review, because there are some bad systems out there, folks.
Right, and there's some bad products, or there are some lackluster products. And here's my issue. Okay, you can have something that is average, and if you're getting paid to review it, you're gonna come off and you're gonna polish that average piece of, I don't know, Riverstone till it looks like a gemstone. Might not be a turd, but it isn't awesome. But you got paid to review it, and you're going to show it to be awesome. I have problems with that.
No, I don't think he did a review of Giant Land. The fourth result on video reviews is by Unscripted unchanged.
Oh, okay. DM Bloodworth. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that was not glowing.
Oh boy.
I like Rich.
But I haven't really made a video
Charge for that, Ben?
summarizing what
Just
this
wondering,
style
do you
is and
charge
how
for
it works
reviews?
in quite
I
a
don't know.
long time. And since
Yes, Joe. All right.
I recently got like 30,000 new subscribers,
Mm.
thank you, by the way, I feel like
Cool.
it's about time to do that.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to point out here that I'm not going to be talking about OSR rules, but instead about the principles that the style uses.
Not the rules, huh? Yeah, you don't.
I will say Ben makes a very nice presentation. I don't see a bunch of jump cuts. So it's not like he's somebody. I hate videos with a lot of jump cuts. Like, it's like, I said, duh, and you got to cut all that. Leave the imperfections. But he doesn't seem to have many imperfections. So the video quality is nice. His presentation is nice. He's got a decent voice. Is he bragging, Death Angels? Listen, if I got 30,000 subscribers, I'd be bragging.
You're going to pull out that horn and blow it a bit.
I like the way he just kind of casually threw that out there too. I mean,
Yeah, well, just 30,000.
like I'm like, wow, yeah, that's
30,000.
awesome.
By the way, my rates have gone up. Oh,
I have 22,000 download to Black Marsh.
now that is something that is truly valuable.
And that's
Don't care about the rules.
Sorry.
Right?
No, that's
All
the
right.
version that you have to go to Drive to RPG and actually check out. So it's not
Right.
just clicking on a link.
There you go.
Rules. Okay. All right. Yeah. The rules are irrelevant to an OSR style of play. So what you're trying to say there, Benny boy?
If you want to know more about the rules side of things, you
Oh,
can check out a
can
video
we
I made
pause
on
that?
the
Yeah.
No, actually, what Benny Boy
Okay.
said. Whoa, scrolling to the transcript. Let's roll that instant replay. So there it is. That's what the OSR means to me. It's a style play that can be used in many different role-playing games. You don't necessarily have to use AD&D or BXD&D to run it. Although I do think there are some rules in old school D&D that are much more conducive to this style of play. Whether you might be using Shadowbark, Knave, or Swords and Wizardry, or what have you. Let me know below what your favorite. Let me know below what you think your favorite aspect of the OSR. So that's how he wraps it up. Just to be accurate, take it from what
Okay.
you will.
Okay.
Can we? I don't know. So now that I know he did Knave, I couldn't remember. I think Knave. I like Knave. I don't think it's particularly OSR. I'll be honest with you. I think it's got some interesting ideas in there, but I think it's got a lot of a new school type ideas.
I have it too. I think the same way.
Yeah, but I don't think it's bad. It's the same look. It's kind of the same creature as Shadow Dark. When you look at Shadow Dark and you look at it objectively, it's not really an OSR game. It's a really cool game, and I think it's really really neat. But there's a lot of new school thought that is put into Shadow Dark.
Yeah.
Well, I would say my view of it is the OSR, however you define it, it's going to have two parts to it: the rules and the themes. So a lot of people play with both. A lot of people play with the rules, do some other theme, like Kevin Crawford. Some people play with the theme, like, Torchbearer, whatever the Powered by Apocalypse, Dungeon, Torchlight, I don't know what it is. But Knave and Shadow Dark are but more than those games, Knave and Shadow Dark are definitely OSR thematic. I mean, they're really hardcore dungeon crawling.
Yeah, I would look at like I'll tell you something that's not like Dragonheart or Daggerheart's not OSR. I mean, honestly, 5e's not OSR. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's
Right.
closer to OSR than it isn't, and I would agree with that. But there's one of the things I like about Knave. It's kind of got that RuneQuest thing where everybody can do everything. You can cast spells, you can heal, you can fight. There's no classes really, and I think that's a very non-OSR type idea. That there's no real classes. You're just kind of like, you're kind of like a jack of all trades that does anything. if I remember Nave correctly. That that's anybody can cast a spell. So I would say one of the basic tenets of OSR gaming is you have roles. You have rogues, you have fighters, you have mages, you have clerics. You have like everybody has a role and they have a character class.
Niche protection is part of.
But I'm not saying that I would throw Knave in the dumpster because of that. I'm just saying that's one thing that makes it particularly not really OSR-ish. Now,
right, I have Knave 1.0 up, okay, and again, he has a bullet list here. Is high compatible. His goals with Knave are high compatibility with OSR games. So he's taking where castles.
I agree with that. Okay, true.
With AD&D. CNC is not AD&D, but you can take an AD&D module, put your Castle Crusade stuff in it, and it would work just fine. He wants it to be fast to teach and easy to run, no classes, which is your point.
Right.
Abilities are king, so that's how characters are defined. Optional player facing roles. So yeah, I think Knave, the monsters don't hit you. You roll to see if the monster hits you. It's optional player facing rules. Copper standards.
There's also I'm trying to remember Knave. Let me see. There's the no classes or something. Oh, they have I would say part of OSR games is resource management, and Knave has kind of like the Shadow Dark where you just get a number, or the video games where you get like 20 slots and
Right.
you put the thing in each slot, and if you can't.
The thing is, even James Raggy did that with Limitations, and he did that over a decade ago, and nobody freaked out. They freaked out about the lack of.
Well, that goes all the way back to video games. I mean, that's how we played. Eye of the Beholder. I mean, you have slots, and when your slots are full, you got to figure out something to drop. So, and I think Ben does a thing even where the more you get injured, you lose slots, which I kind of thought was cool.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, I like that. Like more injured, because you're basically getting hurt, you can't carry as much stuff. I think that's actually a pretty cool rule. If I had a way to figure out how to do that in my 2E game, I would work that in definitely, because I think that's a kind of a cool rule. But like I said, I think we're talking more OSR adjacent than actual. Like when I think OSR, I'm thinking Swords of Wizardry, Dragon Slayer, basic fantasy role playing, Labyrinth Lord. I mean, that's when I say OSR. That's what I come up with is that to me, or Hyperborea.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of OSR adjacent, I'm thinking more Castle Crusades, Knave,
Shadow Dark,
definitely. Yeah, I mean games like that. Torchbearer, I think would be along those lines too.
I mean, I look at it this way, because up in the Poconos, at the one mall during the summertime, a lot of the Sundays are like this semi-official old car show-off time, and people bring out the historical cars, and you have the actual historical cars, and then you have the rebuilds.
The kits or the rebuilds, yes.
And if you go in, it's a modern engine. If you lift the hood, it's a modern engine with a 57 Mustang or whatever, and you're like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. And it can be kind of cool, but it's not going to be authentic, but it can still be enjoyable. And then, because they're all still looking, they still have that look and feel, even if the engine is different. It's going to run differently because the engine is different. But, for the common person, they're not going to see the difference. But again, not every game every rule set out there is compatible with old school way of gaming. Old school.
Well, I'm not gonna beat Ben up too much about that at all. I'm just saying that.
Right.
I guess that's where Joe's coming from. Is that okay? This guy's saying he's OSR and he's not even OSR.
Right.
Well, I think we have to let Joe speak more.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to say this about the OSR. Labels aside, there's going to be a group of people who want to play or promote, like we're doing here, or publish, which many of us done as well, for older editions of Dungeons and Dragons, basically AD&D 2E and back to OD&D. There's a group of these people, and they want to do stuff for their hobby. And so once upon a time in the late 2000s, somebody said OSR, and everybody most people, not everybody, because it's true today, most people said, yeah, that's cool, we're the OSR, because, TSR, OSR. And however, a lot of people forget that the original OSR hack was using the open content of the D20 SRD and to make Osric, to make Swords and Wizardry, to make Labyrinth Lord. And once people paved the way, showed us how that hack worked, showed that we're not going to get sued out of oblivion by wizards, then it was open to anybody to do anything, including making a Shadow Dart, including to making a Knave. And 1 second, but that's what the people got to remember about the OSR, regardless of what actually gets put under the label.
All right, back to Joe.
Lost dungeon crawling rules of D&D, or you can check out
the Lost. That's the first time this idiot came onto my fucking radar. The Lost dungeons crawling rules of D&D. They were never lost, buddy. Just because you never played the game until like 97 seconds ago doesn't mean these fucking rules were lost.
I never heard of the Lost dungeoning. Was that what, with traps and transporters and all this other stuff that we had back then and kind of still do? I don't know. I'm confused.
I did a video on that a while back too. So here we go.
the book that I wrote with my own OSR rules. If you want to,
we've already decided it's not OSR. It's it's OSR adjacent, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I will say this. My definition of OSR is you have the 6 abilities or stats. They run from 3 to 18. You've got classes. You've got races or heritages or whatever you want to call them. You got armor class and hit points. You got all those basics.
Right.
Once you start going away from stuff like that, you may be OSR like and OSR light and OSR esque, but you're not an authentic that's going to be able to trace your lineage back to one of the original rule sets.
How about a game like Daggerheart, which is explicitly saying we're a storytelling game? That's right. Not OSR. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying that's not OSR at all. That's not an OSR style. OSR style is not storytelling, and they're explicitly a storytelling game.
So, oh man, now I have a brain fart.
We're all getting old.
Yeah. OSR adjacent. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Okay, so remember I said, there's a core group of players who plays, promotes, and publishes for the classic edition of D&D. Well, I think if for those of you looking for a more objective standard about what OSR, now this is not going to get you your bright line. It's still going to be that fuzzy wuzzy border, but I think you can weigh things on how much work is it going to take for me to run, say, Tomb of Horrors, Keep of Borderland, or the Village of Hamlet straight out of the booklet. If it takes me a fair amount of work, then it's going to be further away from the OSR center. If it's going to take little or no work to run those modules as is, then you're probably pretty close to the OSR center. And I think that's what it amounts to. If it takes a lot of work, I think if you try to use Torchbearer to run Village of Hamlet, it's going to take a fair amount of work.
Yeah.
But
you're right. Like, listen, like DCC RPG, is it OSR? No. Is it OSR in feel and look in a lot of ways?
Can be.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe read the original he came up with the game after reading the original Appendix N, and he
Right.
read that. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely OSR
and
adjacent.
it's built on the third edition rules, but he went in a different direction. But I'll say this: I cannot run Hamlet or or Keeping the Borderlands directly in DCC because the rules don't support it the way they're written. However, I can take a DCC adventure and convert it on the fly to Swords and Wizardry. I've done that. Okay, because there is still a common heritage, but it's harder to take an older school adventure and run it with a newer adjacent system than it is to decompress or whatever an adjacent system adventure to one of the more original core systems.
Well,
That's my
I don't
experience.
necessarily agree with you, Eric, because I have done, in fact, sitting on my shelf. I won't reach for it, but
Uh-huh.
sitting on my shelf is GURPS Hamlet. So
All right. Well, Rob, you are a unique individual. And I said on the fly, by the way. You actually wrote it out, but
okay, you got me there. You
there you go.
definitely got me there. Let's
All
end
right.
the argument there. You got me there because I wrote it out.
There you go.
Hey, it's
All
a
right.
book of tables, boys and girls. I took a look at that once. I mean, table after table after fucking motherfucking table. That's all it is. A book of fucking tables.
And I will say this: the OSR loves tables.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
You know, Joe. By the way, as you all don't know, okay, Joe doesn't do random encounters. Okay, letting you a little peek behind the DM screen of Joe's campaigns. Random encounters don't exist. He doesn't have random encounter tables. Everything happens for a reason. That's how Joe's mind is wired. So random tables are verboten for Joe.
And it can backfire him. We had one session. What was it with pit fiends or whatever those creatures were?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we were all, we didn't want to really slag Joe because he was our friend, but there were a lot of pinched lips that session.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, he's a little, yeah.
Yeah, there's a thumb on that scale on this session.
Yeah. But, so that being said, those tables make Nave more OSR than it probably would have otherwise. Just saying. And it might be a book of tables, but hey, there are books published that are just books of tables.
I mean, I will say some of my best sessions ever have been random encounters. So I mean, one of the best sessions I ever ran was I rolled up a door in the middle of they were on a caravan, and I rolled a random thing. There was a door in the side of a mountain, and that was one of the best sessions we ever had. And afterwards, the players were going nuts and going, "Man, you didn't write that. Where did you get that from?" I said, "No, I wrote it on the fly." And they couldn't believe it. They had so much fun in it. So I don't agree with Joe at all. I think random encounters I think that's bread and butter of D&D.
Yep.
I ran Adventures in Middle Earth, and that has the journey system, which has I wouldn't call them. They're not all random encounters. They're random events, which include encounters. And they were on the western side of Mirkwood, and they were going from the southwest corner of Mirkwood to the northwest, and the northwest was definitely where the adventure was that they were trying to deal with. But I rolled these random encounter, and before we know it, we had 2 sessions consumed by this whole chain of events. They had to escape from one of their enemies' camp. It just was not. I did not expect it. It was all result of random rolls on the using the journey rules, and it was awesome.
So here I'm gonna actually.
But that's a personal preference. If Joe didn't want to do it, good. Good.
But I'm gonna throw something else out there. Years ago, when DCC first released, I was running DCC for my group. And Joe was in that group. We were online, and Joe, as usual, was playing a caster. And what's the issue with DCC besides the fact that 3/4 of that huge book is random tables?
Oh yeah,
he could not predict what his spells would do.
That is awesome. a player. So I play tested DCC at an Erie, Pennsylvania convention. Joe said, "Do you want to play test this for me?" And I said, "Sure." And it was the first time I ever seen in the first adventure for a first level character that one of the characters died with opening the door to the dungeon. So what happened was they came up to the dungeon. There was a door they had to open to get into it. They couldn't open the door. But this magic user had exactly one spell, enlarge. So he cast enlarge on the door. He wanted to pop out of the hinge,
Okay.
but he criticaled his roll. He
Uh,
made it 1,000% bigger. A
God.
ridiculous amount. So I said to him, okay, that door is popping like a bat out of hell. 1 to 2, it goes to the left of you. 5 to 6 to the right. But 3 to 4, it comes at you. You got to make a saving throw. I rolled a 3. He failed his saving throw. He was a blood smear on the ground. And
and that's DCC, right? That's
Yeah.
the DCC RPG. But again, so Joe does not like the randomness of random tables. Just to let you understand where a lot of this is coming from. We all bring our own baggage into the game. Okay, we all bring our own preconceived conceptions.
so,
And
Eric,
maybe there's
if
some
you could, you can post that link there. That those are the link to the travel rules I made that were inspired by Adventures in Middle Earth, but for more OSR suitable context.
Okay.
And it's free. It's a free download.
There we go, folks. It's in the chat. All right.
rules in there other than tables. I don't know. I just table.
Learn how I run OSR games. This is Knave 2nd edition. The fact is that I don't think that the rules that a system is using have as much impact on my enjoyment as the style in which it is run.
Bullshit.
You might be playing in a 5e game.
No, I do say that style is certainly a huge part of it, but that's the DM style. And right, wasn't it Zach Smith that used to run 4E, but in like an old school style when he was?
Yeah, I did that. I ran 4E in a handful of times, and yes, I ran it old school style.
Zach Smith ran he ran 3.0 old school.
Oh, okay. He had some 4.0 aspects to it, I thought.
Yeah.
But all right.
I have further comments, but I'm going to reserve them later. I think he gets to
Okay.
a point where they'll be more relevant.
Or even something like Call of Cthulhu or like Pathfinder,
Oh,
and I'm still going to
shit.
really enjoy it.
I think the OSR-ish stuff can fit Pathfinder better than it's going to fit Call of Cthulhu. Just my observation. I could be wrong, but
I agree with you, but like I said, I'm reserving my comments. So Joe's going to say something a little bit that will make what I have to say fit better.
If it's run in this particular
Bullshit. There's no fucking way you can play Pathfinder in 5e in an old school way and ignore the rules of the game.
All right, and there is a truthfulness to what Joe is saying there. My 5e experience is very limited, but long rest, short rest, and all these other
that's not OSR.
saves to leave a lover. Oh, I'm sorry, 17 saves before you're dead. There's just things that have to be removed for it to feel like more of an old school game.
Mhm.
An old school game is
I agree with you.
versus reward.
Okay, so you're right. It takes some work, and people can legitimately have a legitimate gripe if it's about the work it takes. But on the other hand, you have to say, all right, let's get to the brass tack. How much work does it really take 5e to be old school? And I can tell you, it's a half a dozen things. No multi-classing, no feats. Maybe allow 1 feat for human, but definitely no feat. no multi-classing. Make short rest. The overnight, you only get a short rest by sleeping overnight. You only get long rest if you have somewhere safe to stay for, say, a week. You don't follow the advice on counterbalance. They're not rules. They're not like the rule where you roll a d20 to make to hit roll. They're advice. But if you treat them like rules, yeah, you're going to run into problems. But so treat them like advice. Ignore it. That's not that's easy to do. And if you want to take it to the next level, get really old school, only allow a fighter champion, a cleric life domain, wizard evoker, and a rogue thief. 4 classes, just like BX does. And, the result, and Mike Merles talks about this and the rest of the D&D 5e team back, the 2014 5e team, they deliberately designed 5es with those options. If you don't use the optional rules of multi-classing feat and blah, 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 like I said, then, yeah, it has a pretty old school feel. There's still differences, mind you,
Right.
but it's not that much work.
But here's the thing, and I just know this from back in the day. Everybody wanted to play by the book. And the moment you start changing your house ruling stuff, you're changing how long rest and short rest works, then people go, oh, we're not playing 5e anymore. What are we playing? We're playing like Joe the Lawyer's 5e. We're playing Ben Minton's 5e. And therein, I think, lies part of the issue. If you have to start changing the rules to become more old school, then the game isn't old school.
Well, I don't think you're right. If the game is not, the designer didn't write the game
Right.
to be old school, but the campaign is old school. And that's what, that's the whole point of the essay on my blog, ruling to our foundation, not an oversight. Every campaign is never D&D 5e. It's always Matt Colville's 5e. It's always Eric Tenkar's 5e. I don't know if you run 5e or
No.
Joe, but in case of Joe, when Joe ran 5e, it was Joe the Lawyer's 5e. It was my 5e with House Rule because we're always making rulings. There's always something the system doesn't cover in our campaign, and when it doesn't cover it, we have to make a ruling. Now, our rulings may be very consistent with how 5e is written or how GURPS is written or how Pathfinder is written, but it's still not what the designers wrote.
Right.
And I think people got to get out of this mindset. There's just some ideal raw that if we just play it raw, all it will be perfect. It's horseshit. Rulings sit alongside rules. Neither one's an oversight. They work hand in hand to produce your campaign.
I'm not disagreeing, Rob, but I'm going to just make one small comment that I think is relevant. Joe ran a 2E game for about 2 years with us. It was a lot of fun, great time. Make
that comment, Eric. Make that comment.
It was, by definition, Joe said, we are going to play D&D 2E by the book.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
And what happened the first time?
Get to the punchline. Get to the punchline.
All
Here
right.
we go.
So the first of the house rules was, I think, about 5 pages long.
Oh,
By
God.
the end of like the second or third session, it had doubled to 12 pages. By the end of the campaign, we were at 20 pages and smaller fonts consistently because we were busting on him over 20 pages of our house rules. He goes, motherfucker, it'll never be more than 20 pages. I'll just decrease the font. So I'm just throwing this out there to put things into context.
Yeah, this is where Joe's coming from.
Yes.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing it, opening it up in play. I'm not saying I didn't do that during the campaign, but I was doing something, I was looking up something where my character leveled. I was looking up an ability I haven't used before and started reading. And Joe went, no, I changed that in the house rule.
It's like,
okay. And by the fourth time, I just said, I was ready. I didn't because I'm polite about it, but I was ready to fucking throw that rule book across in the screen into
Ooh.
his forehead. And I said, "Fine, Joe. Next time, you just tell me what the goddamn fucking
So-
rule is, because I can't look it up."
So listen, I had a great time. The first time I had a character reach 9th level over two, it was a lot of fun. But if that's the amount of work that you got to make 2E to make it fit you, then I don't really begrudge people putting work into changing other games to fit them to become more old school in nature. But all right.
Yeah, I mean, I did this for just swords and wizardry, and I'm going to be upfront about it. This is how I wanted it to fit how I run my Majestic Fantasy, my Majestic Waterlands campaign better, and yeah, I tweaked it. I'm not going to bullshit you and say, "Oh, we're going to play swords and wizardry raw." No.
All right, back to Joe.
Thank
By
you.
the way,
Mr.
we're not
Gunn, for
even
calming me
we're
down.
not we're not even 25% through this.
Oh,
We're
my
not going to finish this video, folks.
No.
We got other more important things to talk about, but
Get into that.
Style. That's what I'm going to focus on talking about today, because I think that's going to be very applicable to any type of role-playing game. I should also point out that not everyone agrees on what exactly the OSR style of play is.
Yeah, by saying that, dude, all you're saying, not everybody, means if one person out of a trillion does not agree, you could actually then say, with all reality, not everybody agrees. But the truth is, we all pretty much, anybody who's been in like the OSR from the beginning, we kind of know what it is, man. We pretty much agree on it, right?
What?
We don't.
What has he been? He's been smoking something.
we don't.
Oh man.
And listen, I use OSR personally. OSR for me is any game that emulates or is a simulacrum of original BX, BECME, AD&D, 2E, and I guess the Rules Compendium. Those would all fit into, if you can simulate or simulacrum or you emulate those games, you're OSR. If you're old school RuneQuest, Warhammer, Traveler, all these other cool games from that time, you're old school games. All right. Some people want to include the old school games into the OSR. I don't, but I think that they can live side by side pretty happily. There's people that go, anything published before. Some people call 2E, by the way, old school. OSR. So I'm just
I'm sorry. I interrupted.
no. Some people put the line that anything has to be before Unearthed Arcana. It's a very personal thing, just like pornography. It's a very personal thing.
Yeah, and on the forums where I go, what I say is, there's been an OSR in small letters inside, and the OSR, all capital letters, is a part of that. And yes, there's been an revival and interest in all old school games, but the one thing that people need to realize about D&D, classic D&D had a bit of a break, because most people moved on to whatever the current edition, and if we're talking 2000, we're talking a very small group on the internet who are interested in the classic edition as is. While that wasn't the case with Classic Traveler, there was never a break in continuity with Classic Traveler. You go on the Traveler mailing list, you go just the way how Traveler worked. There were always people playing Classic Traveler in addition to the latest edition. The same with second edition RuneQuest.
Yeah, but the thing is, the numbers don't hold up to that, because it's like comparing crime stats from like Fort Lauderdale to New York City. Your pool is greatly different in size, and the number of Traveler players. Sure, more of them that were playing back then are still playing the original rules, but there were a lot less of them. So there's
as an overall group.
and there's a lot less of them now still playing the original rules than there are OSR gamers. I would hazard a guess.
The OSR, of all the old school crowds, the OSR is definitely an order of magnitude the largest.
I like that, Fugly. OSV versus OSR would be like Catholic versus Catholic.
Well, I like to phrase it is Dragonfoot versus Knights and Knaves versus OD&D discussion forum.
Oh my God! All right, we're having flashbacks, and not necessarily.
They still are. They're still there. It's just
I know.
They
I know.
just the fights have gone so long. They just don't care to fight it. They just in their own world. They're happy to be in their world.
They've been like that since at least 2014. I know.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
The thing is, OSR was basically old school Renaissance. I don't know, it was a revival nonsense people are saying now. You know,
Old school Renaissance, old school revival, old school role playing. I heard old school role playing before I heard Renaissance, but that's just me. We don't agree what OSR stands for necessarily. I don't think it's worth the argument.
No, and the key is it's always OSR
Right.
versus TSR. That was me. It wasn't the full name that made the headway. It's the initial that everybody thought was fun.
Yeah.
the words for the R. The old school Renaissance is all about making games and modules and adventures that are compatible with the old games of the old versions of D&D up through like 2nd edition. That's pretty much what the OSR is. All right. Using the same game rules and concepts from back then to design new games and modules and things like that. Modules, by the way, are adventures for anybody new to this. That's what the OSR is. It's really as simple as that. Anybody's trying to use it as a marketing ploy now, as something to slap on a book to make, because you like the vibe, but you don't like the rules. So let's say that the vibe is separate from the rules and slap it on a book and try to.
That when Joe's talking about that, and listen, if you're on drive-through, it is certainly a bit of a marketing ploy because I see things that are OSR, Zweihander. I point my finger at you. You're not OSR. But it puts them into a certain market that they think is going to make their product sell better. I can't disagree with Joe on this.
To make money by grifting. Not that I'm saying you're a grifter, Ben, of course, but by grifting, that's a whole different story.
The lawyer and Joe. All right, what's going on?
This is something that's been hotly debated for many, many years. So all I'll say is that this is my personal take on what this style of play looks like.
Take.
All right, let's dig into the main principles.
Yeah, Joe, you can't have both sides of the cake on this one. Either it's his personal take or he's trying to come up with his overall overarching definition of the OSR.
Right. Is it his personal definition? In which case, whatever. And if he's wrong, he's wrong. If he's right, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Mm-hmm.
And they often stink. We've seen them.
That this style of play uses. And these are going to be mostly derived from the Principia Apocrypha, which is a document that I helped contribute to.
Well, okay. So I'm just going to say this. If this isn't a marketing video for Ben here, I don't know what is, because
It is.
Everything here is, and I did this, and I did that, and I contributed to this. God, also, I never heard of this thing, by the way.
I have. It's pretty good.
Okay. I never heard of it.
But as long as you keep in mind it's a take, not the take.
Oh.
Or the take. All right.
Link down below.
So he's trying to plug this fucking book, but it's free. So, I mean, if the contents of this, the next coming up in this video, the next bunch of a chunk, maybe 10 minutes of it, are looking at the principles in this book where, honestly, if you just took Matt Finch's book, the old school primer, and you maybe fed it into ChatGPT, not saying he did this, but if you
didn't I say that in the beginning of this video?
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of this felt like it was, when Rob gave me the sections, I was like, why does it feel like it was run through ChatGPT or Grok?
I confess I should have looked up the Principia Apocrypha. I just realized his section headings are straight out of that book, and I gave you the link for it so people want to read it for themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely, I can see it. Get them thinking, be an impartial arbiter. Yeah, he took the chapter headers out of that book and made it the chapter headers of his video.
feed it into Chat GPT and say, give me a 10-minute, 15-minute video where I could talk about these things in a different way than this actual old school primer does, it wouldn't be too different than what this guy did. All right, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Low, it's completely free. That's a really good primer on looking
primer.
at this subculture
Primer,
within
keyword.
Dungeons
Where'd
and
you get that
Dragons.
shit in there from?
The first thing to talk about is this style's do-it-yourself approach.
Yeah.
That principle is the table is yours.
The table
You
is
should have
mine.
total free reign and feel completely comfortable changing the rules
Changing
and
the
doing
rules,
whatever you
okay?
want as long as
Changing the fucking rules. Why would you need to change the rules if all rules are irrelevant to an old school style of play? Why would
Yeah,
I'm
Joe.
sorry.
Why
Joe.
you have a 4-page document?
Oh, Joe,
AT&T
no,
Unity
no.
Raw.
Joe, 20 pages of house. And listen, I house rule Swords and Wizardry Light. I wrote the fucking rules and I house rule it. Because
Hybrids are the norm, not the exception.
right. But the idea that because things are getting house ruled in OSR is somehow bad. Glass houses and stones. I mean, I'm sorry.
You know,
And again, I hadn't watched this video prior, so I'm pretty.
so what's interesting, even the new school, we criticize them for all the supplements and stuff, but when you actually look at these groups and play with them, yeah, they're doing things raw, but they're actually what they do is they have this corpus of books. So for 5e, it's the core book, Xanadar, Tausha, Unearthed Arcana, and stuff.
Right.
They pick and choose. So no two of their campaigns are alike, even though all of them claim that they're running raw. No, they're still picking and choosing. Granted, they're picking and choosing them from what Wizards provide, but they do come up with their own mix.
Yeah.
So it's hybrid to the norm.
Sure.
All right. Chthonic Musings. The only way to keep the OSR pure is to kick everybody out. That might be the comment of the night. And all right, actually, since we got the comment,
We're done. Let's close the video.
So
Yeah.
we'll just ask you to go watch the video. It's interesting.
Oh yeah, I'll
And go hear Joe if you want to hear Joe rant.
Yeah, I think that
go watch it.
Here, I'm gonna link Joe's
It's
video.
fun
Give
stuff.
him the
It's fun
views.
stuff.
By the way, give him a sub. Joe is good people, even though we busted his balls a bit on this one. He's not wrong, but he's not right, or he's Joe. The thing is, for every
He's doing a shouting at clouds.
Yeah, and he's getting so worked
man.
up that he starts making mistakes. Like in one part of the video, he claims that 5e, you have to make up your own morale rules in 5e. And no, they're in the DMG. There are morale rules, DC 10 wisdom save. Has a 2-column layout and 2/3 of a column. They talk about morale issues. It's longer than the one in BX. So. Hey,
Hello?
Eric, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. Okay, of course. Haven't done this yet this month, but I want to give away a few memberships. And one of our new members this month was asking about me doing another Ask Me Anything. So little heads up, it's either going to be Sunday or Monday. If it's Monday, it's going to be in the evening. So I'm gonna do that. It's about time. Summer got away from me, but where are we? Here we are. There we go. All right. So membership should be out there. There, Rob. Rob, you're a member now.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Now I can watch that part 1, part 2, part 3 and see what the hell that's about. It keeps polluting my feed.
Oh, what can I tell you, man? What can I tell you? So, in any case, and by the way, timely videos go up on time. Videos that may not have a time frame to them often go up for members first for a day or so, and then they go out to the general feed. So little perks. And for the AMA, by the way, anybody can watch, but only members will be able to ask questions. Go figure. Yeah, let's go. It was a lively week this week. Rob, I don't know if you saw this, but the publishers in the Diamond bankruptcy seem to have gotten a reprieve.
Oh, well,
Yes.
do share. I would like to hear about that.
Okay.
That was
So
a shitty situation.
it's a city situation, but apparently they found precedent where yes, Diamond can do what they're doing. However, they can't just do it with a swipe of the pen. They got to actually do a motion and have it heard against every individual company whose product they want to take.
Everyone.
Every individual company.
Damn, they have like a couple hundred.
Yeah, every company has the right to be heard. Essentially, is what it comes down to. So yeah, that slowed things down. So it's going to be interesting. So
It sounds like I read that. It sounds like the judge really does want to give the little guy a chance to present their case and at least say, look, here's why we don't think they should be able to do this.
And I that buying time in this just literally screws Diamond again. From what I've read, New Diamond, I'm going to call them New Diamond, the post bankruptcy Diamond, which is separate from the bankruptcy Diamond, isn't paying its bill. So that's that. What a crock. So now, totally
well, just so everybody's on the same page, the reason why this whole problem exists, that when they weigh all this stuff, when it comes to bankruptcy, they want to make sure that any public debt gets handled before any private transaction.
Right.
Otherwise, people can abuse. The people would cook up things to try to game the bankruptcy process. But public debt has to go through various steps in order to be a public debt, and that's why they give it priority. So it sucks, but I'm glad that they found that precedent that each person affected has to be heard.
Yeah. So
yeah, I bet the lawyers went derp on that one.
It's like, oh shit, we were pulling a fast one. What? We can't. What? So now, totally off topic, but I am interested in this. Mike, in our little side group, was it Marvel Masterworks?
Yes. So no, it was the omnibuses. So
omnibuses, okay.
Yes. So somebody mentioned, and I confirmed it. There is a gigantic pile of Marvel omnibuses on sale now on eBay, and these books are typically about $120 to $150 a piece. They're about this big. And they'll have like they have the entire Spider-Man series in 4 omnibuses. Each one holds about 30 or 40 comics, and they're very nice. I can't afford them. I don't usually get them.
Right.
But guess what I bought this week, Eric?
What?
I bought one of the Spider-Man omnibuses because it was $40. And these are all the gigantic, and the sellers selling them have upwards to 10 to 20 copies a piece of all these omnibuses. Now they don't have every omnibus, but I saw.
Oh my God!
I saw some Incredible Hulk omnibuses for $40. I saw some Spider-Man for $40. And if you can pick up an omnibus for $40, grab it, because the one I got was Spider-Man 140 through 180, which is that's my prime reading material back in the late 70s. That was the Jackal and the Clone Saga. That was when Harry Osborn became the Green Goblin. I mean, it's got some really, really good stuff in there. And that's the only one they had. I would have bought all of them if they had all of them. I'd have bought every omnibus, because, like I said, they run from retail $125 to $150. So somebody suggested this was proof that maybe Diamond was dumping these on the market, and these wholesalers have picked them up. I couldn't prove that, because it's not just one wholesaler. It's about 3 or 4 different ones. It's not just one. But it is curious.
Fanaticals.
That's what Fanaticals. I bought something from him. You see, look how his omnibuses are priced Rob. That's crazy. That's crazy prices.
Yep.
You know what you can do for that price, Eric? I could buy those and resell in my local comic shop for a profit. Because they will buy them. My local comic shop will buy those for half price. They'll buy them for $60 because they'll stick it right back on the shelf for $120.
Yeah. Oh,
So
sure.
if I wanted to, I could buy
Marvel
it.
comic, August 1961 omnibus, fantastic, for Kirby color for $30.
And it's probably got 1 through about 30 or 40. And those, anyway, they're really beautiful. I don't have many in my collections because they're so expensive. I usually collect, as you know, Eric, the Marvel Masterworks, which usually have about 10 or 12 stories in them. And they're very nice, too. They look really nice. I've got a Warlock. Here's the Warlock one. I got the Warlock one. It's very nice. I mean, they're really, really beautiful. They're, hardcover. Has all the, this is a complete Warlock saga. One of my favorite characters back in the day. They did him wrong in the MCU. So, but yeah. So that's curious. I don't know why these are suddenly on sale for $40 to buy a couple wholesalers. And if you look at the amounts they have 10 to 20 each.
Yeah.
Well, just like all those Hackmaster 4E books suddenly appeared on 4E after Kensico license sunsetted.
Well, see, I didn't even check that. So I wonder if they've already started dumping this stuff, Eric, on the market.
I don't know.
You can't see it, but that whole shelf up there is about 2 feet of Hackmaster 4E stuff.
Interesting.
My friend
Did you get it real cheap?
Yeah, they were dirt cheap, and me and Tim and Dwayne saw it, and we all got our copies, and then we tried. We went, okay, we got a copy. We got to try to play this. This could be like AD&D on steroids, and we were all excited to do this. We're going to go old school in a major way, over the top. And then we sat down and tried to make characters, and we all looked at each other. No, we're not doing this. This sucks. This sucks. We were 6 tables in, and we haven't gotten through the abilities yet.
It's a table-heavy system, man. Big time. I know people that played it, and they had a ball, but that is definitely a rule system where you have to pick and choose what you're going to do. I think the easiest way to play Hackmaster is just get your first or second level character, just make him normally, and then go into the Hackmaster rules from there, because there's so many choices and things you can do. It's almost a joke. I mean, in a way, it is kind of a inside winky wink joke, but yeah. So anyway, Eric, I did a little research on it. I couldn't find out if these were, who knows if these are from the Diamond stash or not. But I didn't think Diamond had a lot of DC and Marvel. I thought those were two of the companies that had already started using another distributor.
I wonder if these weren't coming from Marvel. Because these are the omnibuses. They're probably they're not being published as periodicals, so maybe they were from.
Well, it is suspicious, and I look. I mean, I hate to say it, but I would advise. I'm not going to simp for Marvel. If you have a chance to get an omnibus, $30-$40, find your favorite character and look to see if there's an omnibus, because that's a crazy price, and you get some wonderful. The whole Peter David. Peter David did an Incredible Hulk run that's one of the largest runs in Marvel history. It was like issue 320 through about 480 or something. I mean, it was about 10 years. It was 10 years worth of Hulk, and it was very well written. He had great artists that worked with him the whole time. He had Todd McFarlane, he had Dale Keown, he had some good artists. I believe all those omnibuses are up there for about $40 each. And if you can get the Peter David run for that cheap, I would jump on it, because unfortunately I already have most of them. I already have most of the reprints of those, so I hate to have. I guess I could buy the omnibuses and then sell the reprints, but yeah, it's curious. And so I haven't seen. I've been asking people to tell me if they see any of the company stuff start going up cheap, because I would assume they're not allowed to do that yet, or does it not matter? I mean, they can't just throw up a bunch of Green Ronin stuff now that this court ruling has come down, right?
Does the buyer know about the court ruling? So say somebody at Diamond says, "Hey, why don't hey, I have a deal for you on some stock, and he knows they're going into bankrupt, but he doesn't know
Right.
about the controversy. Said, I'll give you these 300 pallets for $20,000, and he says, and well, let me see the inventory. Oh yeah, I'll take that. Come by with the truck, pick up the pallet, start appearing on eBay.
Yeah, because this might have happened. You're right. Before the court ruling came down, they were probably free to do whatever, whatever the hell they wanted to.
Hey, and just one thing. Hey, Fugly, we did this before ChatGPT, so we didn't have that option.
So yeah,
we did the Hackmaster before that.
So yeah, I wonder if this might have been some stuff that hit the market before the court case came down, which would be technically legal, but as all the things that Diamond does, sleazy as hell, because they are sleazy. And so I wonder if this is one of the things like, oh shoot, just in case this court case goes against us, let's start dumping this stuff now. Let's start getting rid of some of this stuff because we don't know how that court case is going to go. We think it's going to go on our side. And most of the lawyers I've talked to says, well, yeah, they've got a pretty good case. But maybe they decide to hedge their bets and decide to start selling that early. So if anybody sees that stuff go, if you see a bunch of Green Ronin or Paizo or any of those other company stuff go up, cheap on eBay, let us know. Cause I'm sure Eric would love to do a,
oh my God, yes.
Love to do a show, not a show, but do a
video on it.
A video on it, because that's kind of that's kind of what they were worried about, right? These companies are worried about is we're going to be competing against our own stuff. I mean, right now you're a chump if you buy a Marvel omnibus from Marvel. You're an absolute chump, because these are brand new in the shrink for $40, and Marvel's still charging market, which is $125. My local store is charging $125. The store I use online, my comic shop, they're charging $90. They do a small discount, but they're charging $90. They can't make, nobody can match these prices. These are crazy prices. So just a little, put a little birdie out there. If you happen to see this, let us know, because I'm interested. I'm definitely interested in seeing what they're going to do with this.
Yeah, I gotta say, those prices make me.
I bit the bullet today or yesterday. I put $40 on that.
What the DC equivalent is?
They're not called omnibuses, Rob, but I can't. They're called. They're the same. Marvel. So DC really doesn't have. They don't call them omnibuses, Rob. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but they have those also. Where they're like, they have the regular, like, what I guess they call the Marvel Masterwork style, where they put like 20 or so issues, but then they have the larger giant ones, which Marvel really does way more of those. There's some really good ones too. I mean, I'm a real big fan of 70s monster comics like Tomb of Dracula and Werewolf by Night. The omnibuses have every issue. There's an omnibus, Tomb of Dracula, that's got all 70 issues plus the magazines. I mean, it's like this big. And I didn't buy it because I'd already bought the individual collections, so I didn't need it.
So I have the smaller one for
I do
Action
too.
Comics, and I was somebody was complaining about the new Superman movie about they're having Superman invade, involved in a war, and that's so not Superman and stuff like that. And I thought, wait a minute, that sounds really familiar. And I go and look up in Action Comic #2. Superman goes to some vaguely Eastern European country at war, and he stops a war. That's what he does in Action Comics.
A lot of yeah. You read some of the stuff before World War II, the 1940s stuff. Superman's a son of a bitch, man. He throws people through walls. He slaps people. He beats the shit out of people. I mean, he's
Action Comics #1. He goes and breaks into the governor's mansion, and when one of the governor's aides shoots him and the bullet bounces off, he just slaps him and knocks him out and tells the government, this man's going on death row. You got to commute it. Stop it right now.
Right. Well, I mean, look at the early Batman when he carried a gun, and then Bob Kane had an inspiration that, hey, it'd be too easy for him to carry a gun. He needs to. So he carried a gun the first. I don't remember how many issues of Detective Comics. He had a gun. He shot people too. He didn't mess around.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you read a reprint of Detective Comics 27, I think 27 through 30, he has a gun. And then Bob Kane said, yeah, that's too, it's almost cheating for Batman to have a gun. He needs to have his disadvantages. He doesn't use a gun. And
Well,
so
that would make sense at first because that's how all the pulp heroes were.
right.
That
And yes, and this is during the pulp era. You're absolutely right. Yeah. But
I agree with you that they enjoy. I like the new Superman. Still not as good as the Christopher Reeve version, but I would say it's the most comic book accurate Superman movie that's ever been made.
My only issue with it, I liked it a lot. I watched it and I kept thinking I think it plays better as the second movie of a trilogy because you come in almost right in the middle. All these things are happening. Now, I'm one that's very much against origin stories because I'm so tired of seeing the origin of Spider-Man for the 15th time and the origin of Fantastic Four. I don't want to see origin stories anymore. If you're there sitting down watching an MCU movie, you know the origin, just watch the movie. But I felt like Superman needed a setup there because so much is going on when you're thrown right in the movie and it takes your mind a while to catch up. Like, okay, he's already at the Daily Planet. He's already been a reporter for a few years. Lex Luthor already hates his guts. I mean, there's already stuff going on. And so I just felt like I came into the middle of a story. I thought it would have played better as the second part of a trilogy. The first part being to set up, he goes into,
maybe Superman
Metropolis.
Year One, not the origin story, but a Superman Year
Right.
One.
He goes to Metropolis. He becomes a reporter. He gets these scoops. Lois Lane, first of all, she hates him because he's getting all these Superman scoops. And then when she finds out he's Superman, I would have liked that as a first movie because and then the whole Justice Squad's there. Where do they come from? Is Superman part of them? I don't, it's throwing all these things in there. I really like Gunn's style, what he does. And I think it was very much a James Gunn movie. You could see the James Gunn isms everywhere, his sense, the sense of humor, just things he did. So that was one issue I had. The other issue I had is that the whole movie Superman gets his ass kicked. The movie is about Superman getting his ass kicked. Now he does triumph in the end, but I'd like to have seen him, actually win a few battles along the way because he just got absolutely butt whipped. Through the entire movie.
That's consistent with, they, remember they, DC painted themselves in the corner in the 60s and 70s with Superman. Right. So he gets in, well, they didn't do silly so much in this movie, but let's just say Superman and get himself some jams that his powers weren't necessarily.
Because that's why they created all the kryptonites, right, Rob? Because they couldn't figure out, there's nothing they could do to hurt Superman. Yeah. And then they
Bizarro or Metallico.
Well, they had a run in the 70s when all the guys in DC got together. They said Superman's too powerful, and Neil Adams did the art, and I believe Denny O'Neil did the story. And it's a story where all the kryptonite on Earth is destroyed. It's a great Superman story. It's in Action Comics.
I remember that.
But he also loses like half his power. There's a giant explosion on Earth. All the kryptonite's gone, so they can't use kryptonite as a foil anymore. So because all the writers were just going, kryptonite, and they were tired
Red
of that.
Kryptonite, blue kryptonite,
yeah,
gold
all the
kryptonite.
kryptonite's gone, but there's this weird sand creature that looks like Superman that got created when he hit the sand when he got blown up, and it starts walking around, and he starts noticing he's not as powerful, like he can't fly as fast, and he's fighting something like, man, I'm not as good. And what Denny O'Neil wanted to do is he wanted that to be the new Superman. Like, look, he's only half as powerful as he was before. He's still super powerful, but he can't juggle planets or do whatever. And it went for about a year, and the powers that be said, no, sales are down. Everybody wants super powerful Superman back. So they retconned the whole thing, and then he was back to juggling planets and doing stuff. And Superman, I don't think, got good again until John Byrne took over in the 1980s. Because John Byrne went all the way back to, he made him where he could get his butt kicked. Because, like you said, his first major foe was Metallo, and Metallo had a kryptonite heart, and so Superman's fighting him, and he's getting his butt kicked because he's never had to deal with. Because in Byrne's world, he'd never had to deal with kryptonite before. Then he finds out the Luthor sent Metallo. He goes and sees Luthor. Luthor's got a kryptonite ring, and so he's like, "Oh God, this is bad." And so Byrne did a great job.
Kryptonite. Remember, there was a consequence with Luthor. And
there was too.
He got poisoned by that.
Got cancer. He got kryptonite cancer from wearing the ring. Yes.
So, in I grew up reading DC during the DC explosions of the 70s, and that's how I was introduced to comics. And I paid 20 cents and slightly later 50 cents for comics, and that was my era. And however, I as a kid, as a 10, 11-year-old, thought it got over the top. There was a World Finest where Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne were on a space mission. Because Bruce Wayne funded it, and Clark Kent was a reporter covering it, and a weird coincidence of event made him think that the Earth was destroyed. So they faked their death. Okay, so now it's starting to go off the rails a bit because you see Clark Kent's body floating outside in his normal spacesuit. Oh no, he was a coward. He killed himself. And then Superman and Batman arrived. And so everybody's going, what are we going to do? Earth is destroyed. And Superman goes, I know, I will recreate the Earth. So there's the next two pages are him throwing asteroids together. And there's a panel using his super breath, and his lungs are expanded out to this, and he blows an atmosphere on Earth. And he creates this new Earth. And so they land on it, and there was like a space monster that inadvertently got built into the Earth, and there was some interpersonal drama. But long story short, they figured out what happened was there was an asteroid field that got in between where they were and Earth that fooled even Superman. So now that they know that the Earth was no longer destroyed, they all flew back. But here's the thing. That Earth is still there. It's floating in the solar system, fully inhabitable. And they never explored it again in the DC
because there was all these one-shots. That's why, by the way, there was a big comic event in the early 80s of DC called Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they got tired of all that shit. And they said, we're just going to start from and this is where really the first reboot of any comic universe. Yeah, and they destroyed all the entire DC universe, all the Earth 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s were all destroyed, and then everything just happened on this one Earth. So all the Golden Age superheroes weren't on another Earth. They were actually active during World War II and whatever, and they're real old, and all the new guys came around.
Like Superman and Batman were never part of the Justice League.
Right. They didn't exist in the Golden Age. The Golden Age heroes were the old Sandman and the old, the first man. Green Lantern. Yeah, that stuff. And then they were real old or whatever. So I thought they did.
What was the weakness of the first Green Lantern?
But which one?
What was the weakness of the first Green Lantern?
Wood.
Wood. It was wood.
Wood, yeah.
Which is weird. Yeah. But Byrne was a huge Superman fanboy. He had stated he saw the first movie 50 times. I mean, he loved that movie. So he got to do the rebirth of Superman, and I thought he for my money did the best version ever. Because he left out all the crap. He made Superman's parents alive again. By the way, Superman's parents were dead since 1940, all the way up to 1980. They did not exist. He did a genius.
Was that far back? 1940?
Yes, they were always dead. They had always been dead, and he did a great job. He said, "No, Mom and Pa can't need to be alive, and they need to be there," which I thought was brilliant. And then, of course, he made him not quite as powerful. He got rid of all kryptonite. The only kryptonite they find is Lex Luthor finds a piece of it, and he makes it to a ring, and he puts Metallo's heart. And then there's a real famous storyline where Superman gives Batman a kryptonite bullet. And this figures on for stories for decades after, because he says, if I ever get out of control, I trust you to take me out with this. And so Batman has this kryptonite bullet in his Batcave, and there's very many stories. There's a lot of stories over the years that refer to it. And actually, Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller story, takes place in the future. That comes into play too, because he still has the kryptonite bullet in that. So, but no, Byrne did a great job, and I think I'd be interested in knowing his opinion of the new Superman, because I think Gunn did a lot of stuff right. But like I said, I wish he had, introduced things. That Dark Knight. Oh, that's such a great, what a great story. What a great.
Now, I don't have them in pristine condition, but I still have the original run of Dark Knight sitting safe.
And the sad thing is, kind of like Alan Moore's Watchmen, they did such a great job that everybody felt they had to copy them 500 times.
Yep.
And so that's why you have all these terrible Dark Knight clone type storylines.
Oh, the fucking grimdark.
Yes, the grimdark stuff. And then the Watchmen, because Moore did such a great job, you have to have all these evil superhero teams that are all, like you said, grimdark and about themselves, and everything sucks and the world's terrible. And
I got to say, The Boys is a pretty good version of it, or at least the TV version.
Well, that's almost a parody, though. It's kind of parodying. Here's all the things we know about heroes, but it's not always true.
Well, it's like Lower Decks. At first, you're thinking, oh, they're just making fun of Star Trek, and then when you watch it, it grows on you, and you know what? This is Star Trek. I gotta say, Lower Decks is Star Trek. It's just a Star Trek.
I thought, some personal opinion, I don't know if anybody holds it, but I think the Orville is better than Star Trek right now. I think the Orville was great.
Really good.
Well,
really
I want to see more of the Orville, and up until Strange New World, I thought the Orville was the best Star Trek.
All the CBS stuff I thought was terrible, but
I'm sorry, I like Strange New Worlds.
No, that's good. No, I said everything up to that.
They did a documentary episode. That was their theme episode for the season. They did
a good job,
documentary style.
But the Orville has all. I mean, Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek, and he's said that many times. And the only reason he doesn't do more Orville, he says it takes so much time because he's the main character, and so it just takes so much time out of his other things he does, Family Guy, whatever. He just can't do too many Orvilles. But man, that has a spirit. If you just called it Star Trek, it'd be Star Trek. I mean, it basically does the same thing with a lot of humor involved. But Orville's really good. If you haven't had a chance,
you can see how he snuck it in too, because at first the Orville was just like, like almost a parody series.
Sure.
Excuse me, not parody, raunch, the raunch thing that he's noted for. And then, but you can see him tweaking, and it's like he cuts by the end of season 1. It's like, oh, this is.
I'm just doing Star. Yeah, it's like this is he's just doing Star Trek. He decided, I'm just going to do Star Trek.
Yeah.
And so
I think the first moment was like the 4th episode when the lady who played Cisco's love interest, she plays the doctor in there. They were in this alien ship, and they opened it up, and the people inside saw the stars for the first time, and how that whole scene played out. That's like, wow, that is good next gen.
It's very, if you miss Star Trek, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, that's Orville's very much in that reign. That was my look. I like the original series, okay, but I think there's a lot of really bad episodes in the original series. My jam is that the 90s, I guess, right? Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. I thought that's some of the best Trek ever. And then Enterprise is and then after that,
I like the concept of Enterprise, but for me, it wasn't until season 4 where it really started coming into its own, and they cut his fucking head off. So that bummed me out. I really wanted that season 5 and get into the whole Romulan War thing that they were building, but the way they did season 4, that should have been Enterprise from the get-go.
Right, they took way too. It was too much of a slow burn, wasn't it? It was way too slow a burn.
Yeah, they were taking too much cues from DS9 and Babylon 5.
Because DS9 is the same way. You can skip ahead to season 3 and you get the good stuff. There's no season 1. I'm trying to do a watch through of all the because I've missed a lot of Deep Space Nine episodes, and trying to slog through those first 2 seasons. My God, there's some really just terrible episodes in there. You're just like, oh, I got to slog through it because I want to watch the whole thing, and I always get jammed up about season 2, season 3. and I need to just skip ahead to 3 and just forget about season 1 and 2. You
Yeah.
know.
So, and speaking of Lower Deck, one thing that stands out at me just at the bit, one of the main characters named Boimler, he's an ensign, and he gets to go on the USS Titan under the command of Riker, and it was an episode uh, directed by Jonathan Frakes, and he made Riker a so nut job adventure wise, and Boimler was like, oh, and he would just get glad. He wanted to be on a top ship like the Titan, but he was so glad to get back to the Cerrito, like the perfect never meet your hero kind of story.
Frakes is he's a funny guy. He does a lot of conventions, and he has the right attitude about Star Trek. You know, I mean, he loved being on it. He does a lot of directing now. He's a big director, but you know, he doesn't. I hate when these guys do these things that make their career, right? You know, because it's kind of down like, hey, if you do any of these cult kind of things, your career's made. If you do a Star Wars movie, if you do a Star Trek, if you do Aliens, your career's done, because you can go to conventions for the rest of your life and say, I was in, you know, Aliens 2. There was one guy, I remember, he had I can't remember the guy's name, but he did an Indiana Jones movie, a Star Trek movie, a Star Wars movie, and then something else. Like his career, he goes to conventions. I mean, he's done it, and he only has bit parts in all of them. So Frakes, I think, has the right attitude. He's never just come on as like, I'm a badass.
And speaking of Star Trek, I think they're thinking about doing a President Archer series. And, you know, it could be hit or miss, but if it's a hit, I hope they do a good job with it.
Well, they're supposed to be doing Star Trek, was it not school, Star Trek Academy. So
yes,
we'll see how that.
Unfortunately, that's in the Discovery era. Shit.
Yeah,
you know, as much as I love Star Trek, I bailed after the first few episodes of season 3.
Yeah, because Discovery's terrible, but that's been in the works a long time. That was supposed to come after Deep Space Nine. I'm sorry, after Next Generation, and it never did. So that's been in the works for a long time, but hopefully it doesn't have too many Discoveryisms in it, because I thought Discovery was terrible. I thought it was absolutely.
It has the Doctor in it, so we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
You know, the Doctor from
Eric, what's your favorite Star Trek era? Tell us your favorite Star Trek.
The original series.
If you have, yeah, that's I watched. I mean, I've watched all the original series, but I will say it has a preponderance of really bad episodes compared to all the other. I mean, there's some really bad Voyager. There's some bad, you know, Next Generation. Maybe not quite as many bad Deep Space Nine. They're all in the first couple seasons. But there's a lot of really bad original series episodes.
You know what's interesting though? It's interesting watching the original series in the order that they aired, because you could kind of, once you know, they don't have a whole lot of arcs at all, but you can see things evolving, especially that you can binge it. So you say, oh, because Kirk in the first half dozen episodes wasn't quite the Kirk they was by the end of the season 1.
Well, Shatner says that's because of his input, and I think everybody had input. I think Leonard Nimoy did. They would all go talk to him and say, "Look, I think this guy." And to their credit, the writers would listen to him. It's okay,
right?
But then every once in a while, the writers would also throw him a dirt ball and like, "We're going to do a terrible time travel episode about this, and this." Everybody's like, "Oh, Jesus." So they do it, and it's just like you're watching, you know, or what's the episode with the space hippies? You know, they just do something like that. Everybody's just like, whatever, space hippies, okay. But it would have been interesting to see how Star Trek would have developed if it had gone, I don't know, another couple of series, because it was always hanging on. It was always hanging on by its fingernails. You know, every year it had these letter writing campaigns. You know, because it was such a cult favorite, and people loved it, and so it was, you know. I mean, look, it got brought back. I mean, how many shows got brought back in that era? None. I mean, nowadays it's done all the time. I mean,
we can kind of blame Star Wars though, because they were all ready to, even though the Paramount network fell apart, they were trying to get the Phase 2 up and running, but then Star Wars hit. Oh, let's turn this into Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Oh God!
But at least we got Wrath of Khan, so there's that.
Well, I mean, yeah, the movies. Look, the movies. That's all Star Trek had, right? All Star Trek fans had for a decade were the movies, and they weren't terrible, but you know that's what they had. They had the original crew, and so So everybody, all the fans were happy. All the fanboys were happy for that. Look, you guys, you kids nowadays, if you're not our age, Rob and me and Eric, you don't realize the wasteland we had to roll through in the 80s, before, even the 90s. And now there's so many sci-fi series. I mean, good Lord, there's so many. I don't even watch 90% of them. I go through Netflix. I'm like, I don't know what that one's about. I don't know what that one's about. I don't know what this is. And I mean,
yeah, I mean, I could count the number of decent stuff on one hand. I mean, for every Excalibur and Robin of Sherwood series, we had Beastmaster. I mean, I know some of these.
There's actually good fantasy series out there now. You're like, wow, that's actually pretty good. Limited series. I mean, look, even trash like Wheel of Time, which is, it's at least I mean, the quality of it's really good. It looks great.
That's true.
I mean,
Rings of Power, better.
Rings of Power is effing awful, but it looks great.
I just couldn't enjoy any of the characters in Wheel of Time because none of them were likable.
Have you tried to watch Rings of Power? And have you met? I'd like to introduce you to Galadriel, otherwise known as Elf Karen, because she's terrible. The actress just plays her.
I didn't even.
I don't know if she's a terrible actress.
Rachel fell asleep. Listen, Rach fell asleep twice on me trying to watch Fellowship before they left fucking Hobbiton. All right. So do you think
they can't even call them hobbits in the Rings of Power? They have to call them.
Do you think you can survive Rings of Power? My God,
it's terrible.
No,
there's one good storyline mixed in there. That's the elf Avram or whatever. That's a pretty good storyline because it actually has some lore.
No, the Elrond and his Durin dwarf buddy.
But nothing really happens. That's a lot of talk and politics, and I mean it's interesting, but like I said, the elf guys, that's action packed, man. That's pretty. It's got some lore in there. It's actually got some interesting lore, but the halfling stuff's terrible. The elf Karen and Sauron stuff is just unbelievable.
First season is the Numenorian. Oh God!
And I haven't even hit the second season yet because I don't know if I want to do that to myself.
It's better. It's better.
It's better. I'll probably subject myself to it.
I will say, if nothing else, watch the opening. The opening stuff. It's a bit of backstory about Sauron, and you know what? It's kind of cool. I gotta admit. But
our point is, we're trying to say is that this is what you guys got now. It's awesome. We didn't have this shit in the 80s, the 70s. We had garbage. It was terrible. Like we had Beastmaster. We had Hawk the Slayer. Good Lord. Sword of the Sorcerer was high concept back then.
When Star Wars hit, it was like, oh my freaking God, because all the science fiction prior to that, even though we had stuff like the $6 Million Man and Planet of the Apes, most of it was just 70s. Oh my God, the world's coming to the end. Everything is shit. Woe be me. You know what? Even woe be me, cyberpunk. It was just all industrial white and
Rollerball was. They're all depressing, Omega Man, Rollerball.
People complain today about all the Marvel series on Disney. They suck. Listen, we had Man from Atlantis. We had wait. It gets better. We had Captain America. Do you remember?
That was even new.
On his motorcycle.
The Spider-Man one was bad too. Remember how bad the Spider-Man one was? That was awful.
Incredible.
But hey, dude, I have a sweet spot for Man in Atlantis, and I was able to pull off that dolphin trick underwater.
God bless you, Rob.
I did competitive swimming, so people didn't know I was a swimmer in high school.
But you guys don't know how good you have it now. I mean, kids growing up now. I don't even watch. I realized there was a Dune series on the Sci-Fi Network like 5 years ago. It was on there. I didn't even see it. I got to go back and watch it now because I didn't even really know that was ever out there. I mean, for the budget, they did a good job. That's what I
think.
heard. That's why I want to see it because.
And then, of
you
course,
know,
you have the Children of Dune after that, which they never have filmed yet. So you get that as well.
it may be unfilmable, Rob. I don't know. Well, they did.
Well, they make a good stab, and it has the guy who played Professor X in First Class. That actor.
Oh
that
yeah,
was like
yeah.
that was his
Yeah,
first major role.
He's very good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you get So for all the complaining everybody does, just go and go get an old videotape of a 80s, of Logan's Run and throw. Actually, Logan's Run I thought was a really good movie.
Yeah,
That.
the movies were
But
good.
you're
Yeah,
working
I watched Logan's Run when it was on.
So I think I've told the story before, but I took my wife. I said I wanted to show you the most important movies to me in the 70s, and we're going to watch these together because she had not seen any of them. So we had a month a few years ago, and here's what hit the TV screen: original Planet of the Apes, Rollerball, the Omega Man.
I haven't seen Omega Man yet.
That's the one with Charlton Heston. That's
it's one of his trilogy: Planet of the Apes, Omega Man, and Thoya.
No. Omega Man is that's the three, and he did the one based on Soylent Green. We saw Soylent Green. We saw Logan's Run, and so we saw those 5 movies. I said, "This is what my 70s." She goes, "That's really." She goes, "I wouldn't want to live in any of those worlds because we're looking at the future." Because the 70s, I knew the future was all depressing. Like it was all going to be overcrowded and terrible, and there was going to be shortages, and this. I mean, everything was bad.
We had that commercial where we had the Indian look at all the garbage on the road.
Yeah, it was dystopian. It was so
dystopian. The bad part was we see that. We would drive along the road and you would see it.
Oh yeah,
festooned with garbage.
Yeah.
It wasn't like theoretical. We could see it on the road.
I told my wife, I said, pick the future you want to live in. She goes, I don't want any of them. I said, you know what, Logan's Run, you die when you're 30. We all look our best when we're 30. She's like, well, I don't like that. And okay, well, Omega Man, everybody's dead and vampires are hunting you.
That was 20 in the book. It was 21 that you died, not 30.
Yeah, that's right. It was 30 in the movie, I believe. So yeah, and then. And then Omega Man, everybody's vampires, and Soylent Green, everybody lives in the streets, and there's nobody has a house. I mean, it's just so terrible. But Rollerball corporations rule the world. I think we're heading towards Rollerball. I think that's going to win the prize of most dystopia future that we're going to live in. But that's what we had in the 70s was everything was going to suck, but it was cool. But Rollerball was cool. Rollerball was a great movie.
Even movies like Escape from New York. I mean, that was going to be
depressing. Yeah.
But that was more 80s.
That was an 80s. Yeah, that was 80s.
It had explosions and guns and the 70s. God, the 70s didn't even have that. That's how deprived
it was. All low. It was so low. Everything was low key.
Silent
because
running.
They didn't have any money to film this big sci-fi movie, so they would do stuff like Soylent Green, where they just had to make everything look dirty and beat up, and then nobody really had
all the sweating.
So that's what we had, and like the Planet of the Apes 5 movies, great movies, but it's a depressing ending. It turns into a time loop, and they're all going in a circle with a time loop, and everything sucks, and the world gets blown up in the end by a nuclear bomb. I mean, how is that? That's not happy. That's sad too. So, yeah, it was the 80s is when it started getting a little hopeful. You had stuff where it's like, okay. Like the Star Wars was probably part. It was 77, but it was part of that, right? It was really hopeful and shiny, and it was cool, and there was robots, and you wouldn't mind living in the Star Wars universe. Yes, Darth Vader and his bad guys took it over, but if you lived on a planet out there, and like the Cloud Planet, that was kind of cool. You didn't mind living in Star Wars.
It was exciting. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, they did a good job. There was before Star Wars and after Star Wars. And after
pretty much,
things got better.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, everything changed because, also, Rob, this is Star Wars was really the first space opera movie that took itself seriously. Because up to then, those weren't space operas. All those movies I named, Rollerball and Logan's Run, those were more dystopian future things. Star Wars. He even made the point that a galaxy far, far away.
1138. Oh God.
But a long time ago, a galaxy far, far away. I mean, he makes the point that we're doing something new here. This is the Earth in 50 years from now, where everything sucks. This is going to be way far away. We got all kinds of cool stuff going on in this crazy, galaxy out here. We got giant spaceships. It's that. So it made space opera not silly. It wasn't like, oh, this isn't silly at all. The stakes are really high. Good. These guys are bad. These bad guys are really bad. Man, this is cool. I think that changed up the whole paradigm of we're not.
I hope that even though their box office didn't do as well as the people wanted them to do, I mean, I hope that movies are more like, the new Superman and the new Fantastic Four, because I'm, just all the grimdark,
I think they've lost too much money. I think you're right, because I think they realize how much money they've lost. Look, even Superman and Fantastic Four, they didn't make as much money as they thought, but they weren't as big of flops as what came before them.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
of those movies that came in the last couple of years were terrible, and they lost money hand over fist. I mean, that's just.
Well, I have a question for you, Mike. So, as far as both Superman and Fantastic Four both put you in the middle of their respective superhero stories,
right?
How did you think? Did you, compared to Superman, not their overall quality as a movie, but compared to that, what you raised, that you felt that there should have been a first movie with Superman? How did you feel that way with Fantastic Four?
No, I thought they did a good job of saying, look, here's what they did. They're heroes, and we're just going to jump right to the cool part. I don't think it's the better movie necessarily, but I thought they did a much better job of saying you don't need to see all that origin stuff. We've already they've had 2 different franchises, 3 if you count the terrible Roger Corman one. They've had 2 different franchises that have already explained all the origins and this and that. They don't need to do that again. Those kids are still alive. I mean, we're still alive. We've seen those movies in our lifetime. They're not; those aren't way in the past. And so I thought Fantastic Four did a very good job just saying, hey, these guys are superheroes. Here's their powers. Here's what they've done. Here, I didn't think it needed a quote unquote first movie. It wouldn't have hurt to have a first movie, because I think one of the things that lets you get into heroes, especially, is you become familiar with them, and it's really hard to make a movie where you feel for the character immediately, and then by the time they get in trouble in the second or third act, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want anything bad to happen to that character. I think that's much easier to do. I think a good example of that was the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. Because by the third movie, I mean, you're really broken up when Aunt May dies. You're like, holy shit. You got to know her through all the other movies. Through, she was in a couple other Marvel movies. And it really, because one of the problems I always have with the Spider-Man movies is without his Uncle Ben dying, you don't have any reason for him to become Spider-Man. That was his whole reason to become Spider-Man. It's because I fucked up. I fucked up so bad. My Uncle Ben died, and I'm never going to do that again. Well, they didn't have that, Tom Holland. But then when Aunt May dies, you're like, holy shit.
Oh, I thought they did have it. They just never showed it.
They never taught. I went back and watched the movies one time. Uncle Ben's never mentioned in any of the movies. He's never mentioned. That there's one scene where there's a picture on a mantle that shows him, but he's never mentioned. So any pathos you had from Uncle Ben dying is not talked about at all. And that would have been something he would have talked about a lot if he caused his death, which he did in the original origin. He causes his death because he didn't stop the burglar guy. But once Aunt May dies, you feel that because she's been around for 3 movies, and you're like, holy shit. And everybody loves Marissa Tomei. We all love her. And like, oh my God, she's gone. And I think that's what I think Superman missed a little bit of. And I think Fantastic Four missed that too, because you don't care enough about the characters, by the time the really bad stuff starts happening. You did like one of the great movies ever, MCU was not Endgame, but the movie before that, where half the heroes get wiped out. You really feel that because you got to know these heroes through all these different movies, and you're like, holy shit, they just killed half the Marvel universe there. How are they going to get out of there? How are they going to write? I mean, I had friends. Everybody knows I'm a huge comic book nerd, as you can see. I had friends calling me up after that movie and going, what happens now? Like, why are you calling me?
And then you saw Endgame, you saw that opening sequence, and then they went 5 years later, and you're like, what the hell?
They're not going to immediately solve this problem. Holy shit! These guys have been gone for 5. That was great, but you felt something because you'd gotten to know all those characters. you know, and you're like, man, that sucks that Bucky's gone and this guy's gone, all these guys are gone, and you know, Black Panther's gone. I mean, come on, man, the guy had a great movie, and so that's the one thing I think you miss when you go right in the middle of the story. You know, like Fantastic Four and Superman did. You're like, hey, you don't really have time to know these characters. I think Superman would have had a lot more pathos if they'd had a beginning movie and they showed how Lois and Clark met, and you know, and they don't like each other, but then they like each other. I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
I don't know. I mean, I like the new Superman. I mean, not
I do
just
too.
the
I like
movie.
it.
I like the character.
I like the
itself.
actor
I
that
like,
plays him a lot.
I think Rachel Brosnahan is.
She's great as Lois
One
Lane.
of the top
Absolutely
Lois.
great. She's a great actress, though. She may be the best Lois Lane, honestly. I thought she was really good. And I thought the guy who plays Superman's really good. I thought he did a great job. I think Nicholas Hoult may be the best Luthor because the other Luthors sucked. Eisenberg's Luthor was terrible. God, I love that guy as an actor, but
Smallville's Luthor was pretty good.
Yeah, he was good. That guy actor was really good. The actor played Smallville, but Eisenberg's was terrible. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if that was the writer, director, or him that made it, because he played him like a hyperactive ADHD weirdo. And you know, I thought Holt played him pretty good. Like, hey, I'm just richer than anybody, and I hate Superman.
I will give credit to Fantastic Four for one. I never thought any live action movie could pull off Galactus, but somehow they did it.
They did a good job of. I mean,
and they were authentic to the original.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I didn't. That movie was it was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was okay. And I think might be what they're shooting for now, because they've reached too far for great. And ever since Endgame, it's just been.
They got to start focusing, hitting those singles, get people on bases.
Yeah, because some of that stuff is just. I mean, they've had the lowest. Well, I think Marvel's was the Marvel's movie was the lowest money they made on any MCU movie ever, and then the other 3 or 4 are right in that little area that the last 2 or 3 years. The least. I mean, and here's what's crazy. So the new Captain America movie that came out this year with Mackie plays Falcon, or Captain America.
Yeah.
That movie made $400 million, but lost money because it cost $250 million. These movies have to make $500 to $800 million now to break even. That's unsustainable, man. That's crazy.
I know, and I don't know. That should be a relatively inexpensive. It should have been all spy stuff, political thriller.
Sure.
That's how the Captain America. That's how. Captain America 2 and 3 was, 1 was the origin story in World War II flick, but
I mean, I'm watching the new Captain America. I think all the money was the big fight with the Hulk at the end, which, I honestly don't think that looked that great. It's great. It was just CGI, but I'm sure $50 million of that was that fight.
Yeah,
I mean, and so they're going to have to get those numbers down if they want to keep making money with superhero movies. Everybody's been saying there's a pre-COVID Hollywood and a post-COVID, and I absolutely agree with that. Christy and I, my wife and I, go to the movies a lot, and the theaters are generally empty. I mean, because people stream now. The only time you fill up a theater nowadays is Friday and Saturday nights. Other than that, because we go during the day, and we've literally been the only person in movies many times, like in the whole theater. They're running the movie in the 80 or 100 seat theater.
What was the last mega post-COVID blockbuster? Was it the Top Gun Maverick one, or what's the last?
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick did really well. I think that did really good. And then Mission Impossible did okay, but a lot of them are those Pixar movies do really well. A lot of the cartoon movies do really, really well. But yeah, I mean, the blockbuster's not really dead, but people are just like, I'll just wait for it to stream, right? I mean, it used to be, and I still like seeing movies on the big screen because, you're sitting there like, whoa, this is great. But a lot of people have great setups at their house. They've got movie rooms. And
now James Gunn is taking a chance on the Supergirl movie, because if it's going to be based, I just read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. That could work out either really well or it could be a total strikeout. But he's taking chances with that one, and I think it's a good thing he's trying that. But Woman Tomorrow is going to be a different look on Supergirl. Not like Dark Knight, where it's just It's Supergirl on an adventure, and it's not your usual Supergirl adventure.
Right.
But it makes sense in terms of her mythology. Just you never seen her in that situation, and I hope it works out.
Gunn's a pretty look. He's one of the few guys out there that actually has read comics and knows comics. I mean, I don't agree with all his decisions, but
Right.
you can't say the man doesn't know comics. He does. He is a comic nerd, and he knows obscure characters. He puts like really crazy obscure characters in his movies, and he does things that the whole Guardians of the Galaxy was such a crazy move that just absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean. Nobody thought.
Yeah, it's like Guardian. It's like that guy in the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy. Who?
Yeah, who are you? I'm Star Lord. Who? Star Lord, and using that because everybody got mad because they didn't use the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, oh, this is the B team weirdos that came around in the '90s, and these guys suck. And he pulled it off, and so. I gotta trust him, man. I think I gotta trust the guy. I think he's gonna.
Well, the good news is if they're basing it closely on Supergirl Women of Tomorrow, it's going to be a story that has a beginning, middle, and end. So it should be approachable for people to get into it.
All right. I'm going to pull the plug on this right now.
There's Rob and I's comic conversation of the year right there. We had our one comic.
We got it in for 2025. We will schedule one for 2025.
Hey, we had a lot of engagement there. There was people all over there.
No.
And I just want to let everybody know, get my little shrill in here. My Kickstarter is still open for late backers.
Check it out, everybody. Please.
It's good stuff, folks.
Crap. Did you have a link there? Is there a link to his Kickstarter?
I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have it.
I don't have the link.
I'll get it.
Wow.
Rob's going to get it. In the meantime, if you want to support this channel, there's a QR code right here. There's going to be a couple of videos coming out this weekend in addition to my regular live stream with Rach, because there's a couple of events going on that I want to make sure I cover. And not the least of which we touched on it is the Diamond Comics.
Oh, yeah.
That's very interesting. There's also the idea that Critical Role is not going to go with their own house system.
We could have spent a whole hour on that because that's crazy.
That's bizarre. And
what are they using? 5e?
Yeah. And just this is going to be behind the member screen. Gamers on Games has done a recent video about potential world events that I have to do a reaction to because I almost crashed my car listening to it today.
Whoa! What was this on? You almost
come
crashed.
On, give it. Don't leave it hanging. What is
it?
What's the world event at least?
All right. So, Gamers on Games. By the way, he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing the MASH theme song for this one. And he wasn't saying that the incoming administration, like he did last year, was going to put him and his family in concentration camps.
I forget about him until you bring him up again. Then I have
to. But apparently, we're invading Mexico and taking it over. Full stop.
Yep.
That's going to be behind the paywall. I'm sorry, at least for now. Because
thank you, Eric. I get to hear it for myself.
You'll get to hear it now that you got your free membership. Yes, Rob.
So about that quick roll using 5e, what are the odds that Wizards because they have overturn in management that somebody grew a brain over Wizard and went, hey, we'll pay you $10,000 if you use 5e?
Absolutely, Rob. That's my theory too.
Well,
absolutely.
Remember, two main people at WotC. Where did they land?
Daggerheart. Yeah, they landed with the Critical Role.
They landed at Critical Role. Yeah. So the connections are there.
No, absolutely. I agree with you, Rob. That's what I think too. I think absolutely that they're it's a sponsorship basically. Sponsorship.
Before we get all critical, we just remember trying to make a business off of YouTube like this. It's a mercurial business. You don't know where your next dollar is going to come from. Now, obviously there's limits, just like we criticized Questing Beast for having people pay him for reviews. But on the other hand, sometimes you have to do things like sponsorships if you want to make a living at it.
RPG Grandma, just telling you, somebody believes we are, and it's up to Mexico and Canada to stop us physically.
Well, I'm in Texas and I haven't seen anything yet, but I'll let
Yeah,
you guys know. If I see anything, I'll let you know. So.
Thank you, Mike. Folks, live stream tomorrow night with Rach and myself. And there will be an AMA Sunday or Monday. Open to all, but members will be the only ones that'll be able to ask the questions. But I got some things I want to talk about anyway. It's members only. It's membership has its privileges. So
Absolutely.
there, join the channel. $1.99. Come on. You can't even buy a latte for that shit. You can't even buy a Coke.
Do it, folks.
Do it. All right, folks.